we'll be focusing on the terrorism scourge and the crisis that has put our tourism sector in, and also the nation almost at a standstill, not to spread panic or pandemonium, but to really discuss this in its wholesome view. And today we want to start with the travel advisory that was sent out by the British government, and of course this from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and this was sent out on Wednesday. I spoke to John Bradshaw from the High Commission, and he says that this was sent out on Wednesday, and they were not the only ones who sent out this particular travel advisory. There was France, there was Canada, and there was even American. So this being the latest one of the latest ones, and having a direct effect, as we have been told that a number of tourists have been flown out back to Britain. And so let's just look a bit more detail into this. The Foreign Commonwealth Office has changed its travel advice to Kenya to advise against all but essential travel to Mombasa Island and the surrounding area following recent terrorist attacks and the continuing terrorist threat in the area. Of course, if you've been following the news, it's all over, even on Twitter and what have you. The attack this afternoon around 2:30, the twin blast at Gikomba Market that left 10 people dead at least and over 70 injured, and they're receiving treatment at the Kenyatta National Hospital. So this coming at a time many questions are being raised, and the president at around 2:30, just after the incident at Gikomba Market, saying that they have been in touch with these high commissioners and they don't seem to know more than we do. So there's nothing that they're hiding, even though this travel advisory came on Wednesday and the attack came today. Now, the advice here, let's just to be specific, and it says, if you are currently in an area to which we now advise against all but essential travel, you should consider whether you have an essential reason to remain. And so we want to take this into context and talk to some of the people who are actually affected. I'm probably walking a bit too fast here, but I have in studio, I'm joined by two gentlemen who will help us dissect this issue. There's Dennis Nthumbi, he is a security analyst, and we also have Joseph Ndung'u, he is from the Kenya Institute of Criminal Justice. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening and helping us understand this matter further. And it's not just in light of what happened today, but throughout the week. And of course, this has happened in the last few months. And you've been a guest here in the past 2 weeks a lot. And we also have joining us on Skype, Monika Solanki. She is a tourist operator. She has been doing this business since 1992 here in Kenya from the Lofty Tours company. And she is one of the Kenya Association of Tourist Operators. She's actually the chairlady for the Mombasa branch, and she now joins us just to give us a feel of what has been the effect of the travel advisories and also the attacks of late in Mombasa. Thank you for joining us. That was a long intro. You've been waiting to talk. Thank you for your patience,
Thank you very much.
Monika. Yeah. Since the travel advisory on Wednesday, just tell us what has happened and the effect to your numbers.
All the British from TUI and Thompson flight were flown out. Yesterday evening, 11 p.m., we had one flight departing, and today morning, 11 a.m., the second one left. So we have a number of about 700 clients which were flown out the last 24 hours. 700.
Now, just break that into numbers. And are you having some cancellations?
I just received, I had my own direct booking, and they have just cancelled. And any booking from now till 31st October, they are saying they're not coming and they're supposed to cancel. And so it is only the few individuals who are ready to travel on their own risk, they're coming down. But anybody traveling through a travel agent with an insurance, they will not come down.
So the 700 that have been flown out are those who don't have travel insurance necessarily?
Yeah. No, they have the insurance, but now with the travel advisory, it is null and void.
Right.
So when they stay on, it is at their own risk. Anything happened to them, they're not covered. And they will not take it back by the agent, whoever has brought them here.
What is
the option we are given to them was you enter the plane and you fly back, or you stay on and you stay on your own risk. Anything happens, it's up to you. and you bear the cost.
Given the travel advisory, you as Kato have given your position to the advisory. Of course, the government yesterday through the Foreign Affairs Office said they are displeased that the government would be giving these travel advisories, the friendly nations would be giving these travel advisories that injure us as a nation, especially from the tourism sector. What is your official position?
The official is that we are very disappointed by the statement. That is through the KTF statement we have given out today afternoon. There was a press conference in Nairobi. The KTF, the Kenya Tourist Federation, has given out, and we are very much disappointed about the statement by the FCO, and we have requested humbly that they should reconsider it and revise it and put it back to the normal stand. This is a terror attack and not a Kenyan that Kenya is at war. We are not at war in Mombasa and also not in Nairobi. The things which are happening are terror attacks, which they have everywhere, and we have a problem there.
Monika,
so we are also saying...
Yes, just hold it there. We want to talk more about the responses that you're getting directly from your clients, because not everyone has gone back. Although this particular story hasn't really been out there about the numbers that are out. Let's just bring in the two gentlemen in studio who would give us a bit more perspective on why, from a security angle, this would be the case. Of course, the British government has a responsibility to protect their nation, so we're not necessarily having a problem with them having the interest of their citizens forefront. But do you think, in your view, this was carried out in the best of ways?
I think the related government has an obligation to protect its citizens, which is an obligation that they cannot undermine. And it is true that our threat environment is on the red. So in their own right, yes, they are justified to give such warnings. But obviously, if you look at it from a commercial perspective, then obviously, you know, there's going to be a contention. But if you look at it from a human protection perspective, then there's justification. Of course, they have intelligence that the common person doesn't have. And that's the reason why they would carry out such warnings. So they're obviously working from a point where they have certain intelligence that they've looked at keenly, and obviously then they've zoned it as red.
Would you say it's suspect, Ndung'u, that after the advisory on Wednesday, this happened today, or was just a bad coincidence?
Well, I would say it's a bad coincidence. My difficulty with what they did, normally friendly nations share intelligence. And I would have expected, before they carried out the evacuation, to have shared intelligence with our government, so that when it comes to what they have now done, there is common understanding. Because yes, they have a right to evacuate their citizens, but not in a manner that causes panic.
Right.
Because when they cause panic, then you can understand the whole tourism industry and the kind of repercussions it's going to have. Because it looks really serious if the British government can evacuate their staff in 24 hours.
But I have to be clear here that earlier when I spoke to John Bradshaw from the High Commission, he says this is not the British government that is evacuating their citizens. It is the private company, Thompson, I believe Monika will be able to clarify, that evacuated their clients. And so we can't really say it's the British, but definitely their advisory has a direct link to what has happened today. So some people have gone to the extent of saying this is somewhat political, but in the interest of security, politics aside, do you think really that would be a far-fetched idea that they are now, since we're going east, supposedly that they are giving these travel advisories that they know will have a direct impact on our economy?
I really don't think it's political at all, Mark, if you ask me. I think, to be very honest, anyone who is living in Kenya knows that we're currently in a dicey situation from a security perspective.
Right.
I mean, statistics are there. We've had several attacks, and the others that are projected from a forecast perspective. So what happens, it's a prerogative of the FCO to issue such warnings, and then certain organizations then take that warning and work on it.
Right.
And you know, others will digest it. I mean, tourists, British tourists are not the only Britons in Kenya.
Right.
I mean, we have British organizations working in Kenya, and even then they are taking the correct measures to make sure that they protect their personnel.
We continue our discussion on the terrorism effects on our nation, the economy especially, and also the loopholes that we have in our security detail and intelligence detail, even the legal aspect of it and how we are handling the suspects, if you may. And we just want to continue from Mombasa and the latest incident where after the travel advisories, we had some people who are a bit worried that the situation isn't too good because they feel, I mean, Britain to wake up and say travel advisory, do not go anywhere close, at least 5 kilometers away unless it's very essential. They must be onto something. And so let's listen into some of the views of the residents and even the police commissioner on whether he agrees.
Because Thompson's has said that we have to go back early. We have to go back early.
Why do we have to go back early?
To be honest, they haven't said much, just said about the FCO, you know, and that we have to go back early. We're at threat.
British government say we have to come back. We don't know why. Nobody know why.
Oh, we don't know. We've just been told by Thompson's that we've got to leave. So we didn't want to. We were looking forward to our holiday, but we were told we had to go.
Yeah, it's safe here, yes. Yes, it's political lies, yes.
You've heard it from actually the tourists, not even residents, as they were lined up to get on board the flight. Actually, we could probably show some of the shots of the Thompson flight that was on standby. Monika tells me one took off at 11 p.m. last night with about 250 passengers, and there was another at around 11 a.m. today that also took off with around 250 passengers. You've heard it from the tourists themselves. They say they really don't know why, but according to the latest, that is a plane that you have it on the screen. They don't know why exactly. They wanted to continue with their holiday, and of course, because of the directive, they just have to go back. And Monika Solanki, we can also hear from one of the commissioners, yes, the county commissioner, who gives us his position on the security situation there, just to give reassurance to those who are in that area.
Mombasa is the safest destination so far. We have the security arrangements in place, and all areas are covered, as you know. And we want to believe that there are no issues that should warrant issuance of advisories.
Security arrangements we have, particularly in the airport, through the assistance of this office, are robust, more than adequate, and we should not get scared.
It's trying to tone down there on the travel alert and advisory that there's no reason to worry. Some of the police authorities from the county of Mombasa. Let me start from you, Monika Solanki. Do you feel secure enough while in Mombasa as a tourist operator and as a resident?
Yeah, I'm very safe. I've been living many years in Mombasa, and I'm moving in town, and there was no problem. Even today, there were people in town, tourists walking around, despite the warnings, despite knowing that people are flown out. You can still see people moving around freely, walking in Moi Avenue. They have no issue. And nobody in Mombasa is running with a machine gun trying to kill his brother of Kenyan.
Right.
This issue is terrorism, not between the Kenyans.
Have you spoken directly to one of the tourists, some of the tourists, and asking them whether they feel okay to continue their stay here? What are they saying in the face of all these advisories?
I spoke to one of my colleagues, private safaris, and they told me that the British tourists refused to fly back from Kony. Right. They're actually carrying on with their holiday. So right. It is not all tourists to go, but most of them, because of the fear of the insurance, right. They have left from the UK. But the Germans and others, they're saying no. As long as we are not told by the government we must fly out, we carry on with our holidays, and we are coming.
And away from lofty safaris, lofty company there, What are you hearing from your counterparts in the area? Give us a good picture of how the tourists are taking up this particular travel advisory and the recent attacks that we've been having.
No, everybody is surprised. They caught up. They're coming in, flying in on Tuesday, and today they're told to fly out after 1 or 2 days. And they're caught up, and they're not given a real good reason, or they don't see a reason why they should leave, because they were enjoying the beach.
Right.
And they had come for a holiday. And you can't see any reason. It is peaceful as usual, and there is no reason for why to go back.
And we're being told, at least the president responded and said to the travel advisories and said, we have an option. We can look towards other markets. And I'm sure this one would be China. Are they a viable option as an alternative market to the traditional market that you're used to?
The Chinese market is more for the safari. We are selling on the coast, the beach. For the beach holiday, we normally go for our old markets, which is Europe.
Right.
Because they come to stay on the beach for 2 weeks holiday, then they take a safari added on value, but they come main for the beach holiday. The Chinese or the Eastern market, even the Indian market, they don't come for the beach holiday, or the American market, they have better beaches on their sides. They come for the safari part. So here we are getting stuck now on the beach safari holiday, which we are selling. The part of the safari might still moving with the Eastern countries, which is Nairobi up country. Okay. But here on the coast, we were badly hit. Because the Europe, England is coming for the beach holiday.
Right. Thank you for this.
They come with the charter.
Thank you for this, Monika. Let's continue with the studio guests. And I'd like to pick up the back of what the county police commissioner was saying, that we are safe and there shouldn't be reason to worry. Do you think all entry points are safe and secure as a nation? Are we good?
I think right now we're good. To be very honest, there's something in security called forecast, just like there's a weather forecast. And I mean, once you see some smoke, there's always fire. You know, obviously, these situations change. They mutate one way or the other. And one of the things about terrorism is that it's a deep operation.
Right.
When there's quiet, they're planning, or you don't know what it is that they're doing. So you need to be ahead of the game. And if they're ahead of the game, other than you, then there'll be an issue. So the thing is this, we need to be very cautious, even us as a nation. I don't think we need to be paranoid. And I'm not sure whether the response for the FCO or the travel agency was to plug out 700 tourists. But did they get enough government assurance? I think what the government needs to do is sit down with key players, including organizations that are bringing tourists. And
so you're not happy with the way the government is treating this whole situation? It's not giving as much as it should assurance?
What it is that I'd say, we can't politicize business. That is what we'll say. Right. The thing is this, we need to give our business partners enough support and assurance, because sometimes security is a state of mind. You can be insecure in the most secure place in the world. Yeah. So one of the things is that we need to give them the assertion that, look, and this needs to come from the head of state himself, look, we have your back. What is it that you want us to do? You want us to deploy more police? You want us to give you close protection officers to look after your tourists? We will do that. Just spend your time here, and whatever it is that you want, any support you want from the government, then we'll try and give you that as much.
And as the citizens, do you think we are well positioned? As you said, we could be insecure in the most secure nation, or vice versa. Do you think Kenyans are doing their part in all this, or are we a bit ignorant?
I don't think we're doing our part. And to be very honest, I think the terrorist is thriving in our ignorance. And I wouldn't blame the citizens because they're not an expert in this. One of the things is that the government has to perform mass education and sensitization. All of these attacks, the nature of how they've happened, they can be preventable. Because if you look at the situation that happened today in Gikomba, terrorists came and planted an IED at a place where they sell. So if you sensitized the person who was selling at that point, that every time they come to their location, they need to sanitize their location. They need to check whether anything that has been planted will be feed,
I mean, you've been
and all that. Yeah, I've been there, but it's, you know, everybody has their own segment. We need to train and teach our peoples, and even come with marshals within certain designated areas that can be able then to sensitize. We have MCAs.
Yes.
We need to empower them to be able to train these. I mean, if you look at the issue issue of fire, the fact that the county government is actually empowered by law to deal with fire legislation. The question is, do we have a legislation that will help us fight
on
terrorism?
That point, let's now talk to Joseph Ndung'u. He is the director of the Institute of Criminal Justice. Do we have legislation enough to handle the scourge and the challenge that we have of terrorism? Are we handling these suspects that we have in the best, in a thorough way?
We have good legislation, yes. On the issue of handling the terrorists, we need to be careful about the duration we keep them under investigation, because the current regulation requires that anybody who appears before a court of law can be given bail. But you have information about the suspect who's just been brought in. You need quite some time before you can information from them. 24 hours is not enough. But you see, again, we are confined by the legislation, because within 24 hours, the fellow can be given bail. Maybe it is time we change the law to allow for our agencies to hold terror suspects for longer, and that they need to explain before a court of law why they need much longer time.
Okay.
I still think even within the current regulation, if they went before a judge and said we need a much longer time, that can be granted, and it has been granted. Yeah.
And in this special situation, I'm sure we can make the accommodation of such legislations and also other security measures. And also in the tourism sector, just awareness and assurance from the government. So thank you, Joseph Ndung'u from the Institute of Criminal Justice, and also Dennis Nthumbi, EU security analyst. And we'll be having you over to talk about these issues in the days to come. Of course, this is something that we face on a daily basis. And Monika Solanki, thank you very much, representing the tourist operators, for giving us a better view of the challenge that you face in after the travel advisories and in this terrorism, in this day of terrorism that is facing us.